least my band, but a lot of other bands are sort of, as people get to some sort of pivot, they've been playing with people for 3 years or something like that.
It's like a middle age kind of thing.
Yeah, the middle age of graduating college, sure. What were some of the questions you asked yourselves when you decided, do I want to be a performer first and foremost? Or is that how you guys even consider yourselves?
Yeah, I think we're definitely entertainers. I mean, for me, there was definitely a point not long after the storm where we were in the van traveling from a festival to go to another gig, and it was just awful. The situation was horrible. We knew the next gig was going to be bad that night, and I was thinking, all right, well, tomorrow when I quit this band, what am I going to do? Like, who am I going to play with? And the first people that came to my mind as far as who to play with were these guys. So, Dave's a pretty good bass player. Maybe I'll call him next week.
Thanks,
So-
buddy.
It's more, yeah, no problem.
Sorry, no, please finish.
What else are we going to do, Not necessarily like we couldn't do anything else, but, things get ratty. I don't know. It's cool to hear all these announcements about y'all having all these bands, because when I was here, I don't really remember that being that many bands, It's great that there's so many people, already doing what they hope to do after they get out of school, and I think that's really important. And there's horrible moments of self-doubt and, this sucks. This is the worst decision I ever made, but it's like, what else are you going to do? Some of us are just meant to play music, and for better or for worse, you kind of just find your way through it. I think that's sort of it's probably helpful with as many bands as there are in the world today to have a little bit of adversity to prove that you really want to do it, and that you really mean it. You're not just there for chicks and free beer.
Can we, I hate to say this, but for the webcast, can you please, we got to get a microphone on you.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
And you have a great voice.
Oh,
It fills
thanks.
the room.
Well, thank you. No, I was just saying that, there's a lot of tough moments as a touring band, especially. They're really emotionally draining. You miss your girlfriend and your bed and all that stuff. But, if it's really what you're meant to do, it's worth it. And the people in your life that you're missing, if they really care about you, are down to put up with all that ridiculousness. And I think it's good for a band. It kind of proves that you're in it to win it,
So how did the touring, that's been where you guys have spent a lot of your time. Can we talk a little bit about how you guys started touring and sort of what it means now and how that's changed?
We started touring just calling every club whose number we could find, and Harry, who used to be in the band, who also went to Loyola with us, just badgered them into giving us gigs. Really, there was no high scientific method, and there still isn't one, by the way. If you're a new band and you want to tour, you just call them and call them again and keep calling them, and they're going to ignore you almost all the time, and eventually someone will give in and you'll get a gig. And the first tour you do, you're going to burn a lot of gas and you're not going to make any money, and if you're like us, you'll be stealing the cheese samples from Whole Foods, and which we had to do on the last day of our first tour.
They're free, so they're not stealing.
Well, yeah. Well, when you take 60 of them, I think that's kind of stealing. One little toothpick worth is all right, man. I was filling my pockets with them. But yeah, but that stuff's fun when you're 21. If that happened to me now at 31, I think I'd be a little bummed out. But
So your needs change. You don't want the same things you did when you were.
Yeah, but
20.
that's the part. That's the arc of it, man. You were asking how you get started. I think you start out just 3-point stance, look out, world, here I come, young and stupid, and you just charge into the mist, and you'll get somewhere like that. But eventually, you get a little more reward for it, and you don't have to put up with cheese samples at Whole Foods. You can get the ever elusive sandwich tray backstage with the pimento cheese sandwich. Who eats those, man? But yeah, the little things, they start kind of adding up. It gets better as you go along. But the beginning is just guerrilla warfare, whatever it takes. If you have to go to the booking agent's house and beat on the door, just do it.
What's some advice you'd give about about expanding your fan base? And you're in some town or some city where you didn't think you'd be, or it's your first time there. What are some of the tactics you guys have learned to sort of increase the people who are in the Johnny Sketch and Dirty Nose Club? Omar?
Increasing fan base?
Yeah. What's worked for you guys? What tactics?
I think.
A lot of prayer, sure.
Well, I think that getting people to come to your show in a new town is just there's absolutely no way to like guarantee that. I mean, it also always helps to know somebody, and that person, kind of word of mouth gets other people to come to your show. But what I thought your question was about was how do you like maintain it?
Well, let's start with just that. How do you take people who are at a club for music to, oh, I'm a fan of this band, or oh, I may see them at a next show, I may buy their music.
You rock them.
Yeah.
That's actually
right.
that's actually Dave's answer is correct. You rock.
Yeah,
them.
I mean, getting them in the room is the hard part. Once they're in the room, it's up to you and kind of it sounds cheesy, but the passion with which you perform in front of them will determine if they come back or not. I think as far as getting them in the room, you check out. I mean, we're kind of a New Orleans sounding band. We have the horns, and first question is, there's people around the country that love New Orleans music. How do we reach those people? And I think you guys grew up with Facebook and Twitter a little more than we did. We were just introduced to it a few years ago, and that's invaluable. But I think college radio stations, public radio, the gambits of the country, the offbeats of the country, you just have to find what those are in each city, and you just, like you said, for booking gigs, you have to aggravate them. If they ignore you, you got to call them back. If they keep ignoring you, you got to aggravate them.
Yeah, and also don't underestimate the power of a network of like close friends who can get their friends out. Like if you have a few friends in a city and they get their friends out, like you can fill out a small venue. So networking is crucial for anything.
Yeah, and in New Orleans, we basically grew up here, and you kind of take it for granted how much music there is in the city. And I was surprised when we started touring that there's people who are so hungry for live music, and it's not that common in certain cities. So if people know that there's this event going on at this small club, you'll have the place flooded with people.
Yeah, I've noticed that like a lot of bands that are touring they all want to go to like New York and LA and the Austin and like the big, everyone thinks that if you can make it there. But the truth is, I think for us, we've had really good success in really weird places where you show up. Like it kind of dried up because I don't know, maybe they don't like us anymore. But for a while we were doing great in Boone, North Carolina. Because we rolled into town, and it's a hip little town, and they were all about it, and they went bananas for it. But if you go into New York, they're like, yeah, who are you? Why do we care? There's 4,000 bands playing tonight. Same thing with Austin. I mean, yeah, it's awesome if you're loved in Austin. That is quite an achievement, but you're just like one of 1,000 groups any given night. So kind of being, I guess maybe in regards to your question as far as expanding your audience, like finding markets that aren't as obvious as the big ones that everyone thinks they need to play,
But you guys put the time in on the personal level, like you knew, okay, we have Jimmy, we have Tommy, and Francis in this city. So let's be sure to tell them that we're coming and that we have a show, and if they can bring any of their friends. What was that something like that?
Yeah, we still do that. I mean, I still make, a month out before we go on the road, I'll go down the list of everybody in my phone in all these towns that we're going to and call them,
I think also,
mailing list.
The mailing.
I have a mailing list. If the Beatles could get back together and play, but if nobody knew about it, it'd be an empty room. You got to let people know. You got to let, mailing list is hugely important.
I think the social media thing is sort of like a double-edged sword too. Like, I mean, you can, like, it's really great to have Facebook to contact all these people and say like, come to our show, but if somebody hasn't seen you, the first thing they're going to do is go to YouTube and look you up. And, there are like 1 million awful clips of us on YouTube. So, I mean, there are some really good ones too. But, like there's a responsibility, like when Dave was saying earlier, you have to rock. Like, you really have to rock. Like, you really have to perform at like your highest level as much, to the best degree you can that day, because somebody's taping you, somebody's got their phone out. And like that kid's who's filming you, that may be like what gets 5 more people to your next show. So if if you suck, you may
We
have
didn't-
lost out.
We didn't really have YouTube when we started. I don't think that was
No, it didn't exist.
an issue at all. So, yeah, man, honestly, like your rehearsals, some dude's probably standing outside and filming it and putting it on as like this band I heard. So it really is like everything you do has to. There's nowhere to hide anymore, I guess. I mean, is what he's saying. And really, like we'll do shows for 3 or 4 people, but if the right 3 or 4 people are there, then I don't know. It's like the good lesson to learn is we've seen bands that they have a small crowd and they play like they have a small crowd. And
Could you maybe explain that a
weak.
little bit more? That seems like a
Well, like Tina Turner said, she's like, if I play for 5 people or 5,000 people, I do the same exact show. Because how do you know that like a record executive isn't in the crowd? How do you know that the bartender's brother, who's like the bartender, the only guy in the crowd at our Philly show the first time we were there, how do we know that like he doesn't have a friend who owns a great club? And you just don't know. And it's kind of arrogant to assume that a small crowd is no good, you know. If you got 5 people that paid, they paid the same as any one of those 5,000 people would have, so they deserve a good show. Now, if there's literally 0 people in the crowd, then that's a different story.
yeah.
Then you just, you know,
Rehearse.
yeah, just play for whoever,
Right.
yourself.
One of the things that I think you guys have done a great job of is finding your stage presence. I know a lot of people get told that if they want to win people over, they have to be really loud and really showy, and that doesn't work for everyone. You know, but I think you guys have found a way to really make people comfortable when you play. How did you find what worked and what didn't work? And if you had to maybe explain that to some other bands, what would you tell them? You know, how do you make your audience comfortable? That's maybe a better way to phrase that.
Just watch them. I mean, at least for my part as a singer, I try to just look at people, and if they're like they look really bored or really offended, then I backpedal and do something else. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe as music students, we kind of feel like this air of superiority, sort of like an academic thing. I mean, I'm not. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean. Like as a player, you're like, this is what I do. Deal with it. You know, I'm a visionary, and we were kind of like that. But if people aren't into it, man, like what's the good of it? You could play in your garage for your buddy, you know, or you can go out on the road and try to make people happy. I think being an entertainer, you just kind of have to listen to what people say. I mean, lately we've had people giving us feedback, and it's tough to have people say, I liked you guys, but, even though the but might be something totally, you know, worth listening to. Like the other day some guy said to me, you guys were awesome, I just wish there was more cello. And I said, oh, well, that's good advice. You know, that's something we want to know, because if our fans are into that, then why not give it to them? I mean, what good does it do us to be like, no, man, this is all the cello you're going to get.
No more cello, bro.
My arm is killing me.
So you guys have made a pretty clear distinction to call yourself entertainers. You know, I know a lot of people, and it's sort of along the same lines what we're talking about now. Is that? I mean, how would you define that? Bass player.
I'm probably the worst one to ask about this. I'm the one that has my head down the whole time. I guess, you know, at the beginning, it was definitely a visual thing, and we made sure we had, you know, costumes, and we made a visual statement. You know, now we've kind of put our heads down, and we're more into the musical part of it. But like Mark says, you know, your job is to entertain people, and if there's one person in the crowd that's not digging it, then you know, you need to focus on that one person. You don't need to focus on the girl that's taking her bra off and throwing it in your face. All right, maybe a little bit. But, you know, that's a tough question. Entertaining is something that I guess I don't think too much about. I just kind of play and hope that it's entertaining. I don't know.
I think for us as horn players, I mean, I know that for myself. I feel like, you know, I mean, we both went to like jazz school. You know, I mean, as much as like we want to, you know, play like our best, you know, bag of licks and all that kind of stuff. There's still a responsibility to not get too far over an audience's head. I mean, we're not, you know, in our respect, we're not entertaining like, you know, we're not like dancing around for them, that kind of stuff. But we can't like disengage from the fact that people are listening to us, and you know, just play like all the headiest stuff we can play. You know, we still have to play something that's accessible to an audience. So I mean, we're not making art, but I mean, the entertainment part of it is just that we're still engaging with the audience. We're not trying to like play something above them.
Yeah, and all of us met here, and we were either doing classical or jazz, and those two types of music aren't exactly dance friendly. I mean, you could argue that they are, but we set out the dirty note thing is because we wanted to play wrong notes and say, screw you, we're playing wrong notes on purpose, and we're going to play them loud, and we're going to put a lot of distortion on them. And
God bless America. That's right.
They're dirty notes. They're
Right.
not wrong notes.
Right.
I think it's an open-ended question. Like you can entertain somebody by doing antics, or you can entertain them by talking to them. Like there's a million ways to entertain someone. And I think what's important is just being honest, and even in a band, you encounter that on a personal level, like what are you personally doing in the band, and like how are you, I guess, reconciling your responsibility as a band member and then, your own responsibility to yourself. Like if you're trying to do something that you don't feel or something unnatural, then people will pick up on that really easily. So, I mean, I don't know, you just need to find your own way, and as long as you're thinking about the audience and trying to make a connection, then I guess you'll probably be more entertaining than not somehow.
We're gonna open it up for questions in a minute. So if anyone has any questions, please come up to the front here. We'll have to do a mic handoff of some sort, but we'll work it out. I wanted to ask you guys on sort of something that I've been very curious about, and as the forum moderator, I'm going to take a privilege and veer off to ask it. What I wanted to know is, what's the etiquette for? Could you give some from your experience? What are the ground rules for being a visiting band when you're being hosted by some other band? So I mean, do you have to stay for their set? I mean, just what are some things you've seen that have happened or hasn't happened that we should just externalize for people getting in this world?
I think,
the unwritten rules of this sort of stuff.
Whether you stay for the set depends on what your schedule is.
Right, of course.
Sometimes we'll open for a band and we have a long drive, so we'll leave, or another band will do a show with another band, and they have to drive right after the show. That happens a lot. Just touring bands, crossing paths, or however it works.
Right.
And a bad experience can stay with you. I remember we played a festival in Telluride, Colorado, and the Black Crowes were the headliner, and they literally just jumped out their bus, went straight to the stage, and I remember them being very rude, and that's what I'll think of when I think of Black Crowes, not...
But they rocked. They were incredible.
Yeah. They were awesome.
I would say make sure you announce that you're not the other band. And make sure you announce that they're coming up, because people can be confused sometimes.
And it's good to keep a good relationship with other bands. That's extremely important, because you will see them on down the road constantly.
Could you maybe explain? Was that happening to you guys? Has there been a band that you played with, and later on, what happened there?
Actually, a band that I opened for with a group I played cello in. When I was at Loyola, not this band, but we opened for a band called Lucero, and they played at Tips last night. And I remembered them being kind of, I don't know if anyone in the band is here today, so I don't want to say. They just weren't very nice to me. That's all. That was like 10 years ago. So I just didn't go last night. I was going to go, and I said, no, I'm not. So you know what I mean? Like that seed was sown a long time ago, and I didn't go to their shows. So, we've been pretty lucky. I don't think we've had... come on, the Black Crowes were kind of jerks to us. I'm sure they're jerks to everybody. Who cares? They were awesome. I got over it. I don't think we've had too many bad experiences, and we're real polite. I think in general, just the guys that are in this band, we don't have an attitude. It just doesn't do you any good ever to be snobby or bossy or to treat the sound guys like crap or to treat anyone at the club like crap. You're all working in the same club that night. You're coworkers, so you just try to set like good foundation because you're going to want to go back. And the last thing you want is to call a club and they go, oh yeah, well they brought in 75 people on a Wednesday night, which is great, but they were jerks and had all these demands that it's stupid, man. We're classical musicians.
I want water. Like, give me waters. And a towel, maybe, if I'm feeling fancy, you know. Just being humble probably is the bottom line for us. And I think we've done a pretty good job. And the fact that we're probably the best band in the world helps, too.
Did anyone else have any? Did anyone have any questions that they wanted to ask? Could we? Can I? Sorry,
You can use one of these, man.
Yeah, that'd be good. Can we give them one of those mics? The webcast. We're very professional.
I need you to leap
We need
over those seats,
webcasts.
buddy.
So,
Introduce yourself for those playing at home.
Patrick Zundell.
Hi, Pat.
I play in a band called City Lark, and we're a 6-piece band, and you guys are a 5-piece band. I was just wondering if you could talk to, like, the struggles of trying to get 5 people on tour that have different schedules.
We had
different
7
times,
for a
different
minute.
cities. Oh, okay.
I'll save my brief part, and I want everyone to share, but I think there's a fine line between 4 and 5 people, and then between 5 and 6, because you start dealing with what size vehicle you need to travel, and like 3-piece bands, you can get like a minivan and no trailer, and you're all good, unless you have, 4 bass cabinets or something obnoxious like that. But if you have 5 people and 2 of them are horns, you can get away with like 1 van, but you still, you know what I mean? It starts like there's a fine line. Then you get up to 7. We had a bus, and it wasn't like, not like a real bus, but like a shuttle bus that you take to get your rent-a-car, that kind of thing. And the wheel fell off of it. We were going 65 miles an hour, so there you have it. So stick with a 6-piece, dude, because then your wheel won't fall off.
There it is. Anyone else want to speak to that?
Be friends with each other. That's extremely important.
We all participate in the loadout. I think that's that's really been a shared responsibility that I don't think too many bands share in, but it really helps.
Nick Volz has carried my bass rig.
Yeah,
Thank you, buddy.
I'll clap for Volts for that.
He's a trumpet player. That's pretty good.
Can we? Thanks, Kevin. Kevin, mic runner, everybody. Holding it down. Doing the jobs of 2 people tonight.
Hi, my name's PJ. I'm in a band, and we actually also have cello. We're named Something Burning. And I was just wondering, how long it took you to really figure out how to set up your instruments in the right way where it'd be easy to switch. Because I saw the song you just played, you had to almost instantly switch to the next instrument, and both me and the other guy in the band that do it, we switch back and forth.
Is your cello on a stand like that?
No, well, it's not mine. It's
the other dude's?
Yeah. So,
I don't know. I've struggled with that. I got this thing and realized I didn't even intend to put it on a stand. I just bought this online, and you cannot, if there's any cello players in the house, you cannot play this thing sitting down. It was designed by someone who's never touched a cello in their life. You put it between your legs, man, and it sits like this. It just doesn't work. That's what the company is folded. It doesn't exist anymore. So I just stuck it on that's a gym bass stand. And it worked out brilliantly. I don't know why. I just sat on there and I put the strap around. I was like, done. So, but really, to answer your question, man, I just move as quickly as I can, and sometimes I have to throw my bow on the ground. But buy cheap bows, and lots of them. Put the black hair on them because it doesn't break as often. And you don't have to rosin it up as much. And it's an arrangement thing. You work it out in the songs. You don't do anything where it's like, then the guitar goes, dun, 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 the cello goes, ba-da-da-da-da. It ain't gonna happen, dude. It's just not. Unless you got an extra arm or something. I don't know. You seem like a smart dude. You guys will figure it out.
Yeah, PJ.
And get a cheap one. Get a cheap one. Oh, yeah, the arrangement is the big part for sure. Yeah, definitely the way you put the song together.
That's funny.
thank you.
Thank you, man. Good luck. I want to hear your band. Your cello player's probably better than me, man. Where is he? Yeah. What up, dude? Those cello lessons when you were a kid are getting a lot cooler, aren't they? They're paying off.
Do we have time for one more question before these guys wrap up? Afterwards, we are having a music management workshop in the big studio with Naughty Professor. Naughty Professor is going to play a couple of their songs. That's right. I freaking love those guys. They're awesome. If you haven't seen them yet, you should, because they played at Forum. What? So if you missed them, I don't want to hear it.
I haven't seen them yet.
But, well, you guys are exceptions. For now, in like an hour. Yeah. Anyways, afterwards, we're going to go over to the large studio at 6:30. They're going to play some, and we're going to talk about a band that's going to face those same questions about leaving and touring, and what the next steps are from some guys, some seasoned vets. But any other questions before these guys? Come on up. Coming up. Take a. I know it's a. I'm sorry, Kevin. Could you give that gentleman a microphone?
You guys talked about killing it or rocking it at your shows, and then people would come out people would go to your YouTube videos. Do you guys not have recorded music, or do you not put it online?
No, we do. Yeah.
You do. Okay. Well,
We've got 4 CDs. We actually have a music video.
wow, that's
Hey.
We're about to record a 5th CD. But, I mean, just the nature of YouTube is everything is recorded. So there's and the quality doesn't represent, if it's not, we've got stuff up on YouTube that's from our performance from Jazz Fest last year. And it's the video feed that went up on, the Jumbotron, it's, really professionally done, and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily what they're going to find when they search you. That's not the first thing they're going to look at. So there's also cell phone videos that are, overdriven, and, the sound is awful, and
I got you. Would you say that, recorded music, though, is very big in building a fan base, or is it really just all about the live show?
It's definitely important to have albums, to have merchandise for sale. We have 3 studio records and 1 live record, and the live record sells really well because we're a live band. Because people want to hear what
they want to hear
just
your
heard,
live music at high volumes. I get it.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I think it's very important to have live, or just to have recorded music, available.
I mean, you can have you can have a following and not have anything on an album. You can have an album and not necessarily have anybody come see you. I mean,
So it's just either way.
I mean, you need it. You've got to have it. You need when somebody,
if nothing else, just something to send to promoters and venues.
Yeah.
If they're not going to hire you because they have a paragraph describing what you sound like.
They want to hear you.
They got to hear you.
Recorded music. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys, we got about 10 minutes. Could you guys play another one for us, maybe? Would that be a good way to close out this forum? I think that'd be really nice. Yeah, let's do it.
Sorry, we can't do that. Thank you, guys. See you later.
Yeah, let's get these mic things figured out. Could you talk into that real quick and see which one?
Hello, this is me. Switch it? Okay.
Okay, is this Andres? Okay,
All
great.
right. Yeah,
Grab a chair.
this is definitely a lead singer mic.
I want the big microphone.
What are we going to hear now?
All right. Well, the last time I played in this room before today was my senior cello recital, and it was a little different vibe than today. So I think we're gonna play a song called "Biscuits and Gravy," which is might end up being one of the more rockin' things that's ever been played in here. I haven't heard. I don't know. I don't want to presume, but
We actually just found speaking of YouTube, we just found a YouTube video of a band in Japan covering this song, which is pretty much the coolest thing that's ever happened to this band.
best thing that's ever happened to us. Period. Dirty notes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Loyola. I miss you. I love you.
Be sure to come to our management workshop at 6:30. That's we'll be talking and playing with the night professor. Have a good one, guys.